Eala just signed a deal that has the entire WTA talking, a multi-million-dollar contract that nobody saw coming. In a sport where endorsements define legacies, one 19-year-old Filipino star just rewrote the rules. This isn't just about money, it's about power, influence, and a move so bold it could change women's tennis forever. But here's the twist. The brand behind this deal, it's not who you think. And the reactions? They've divided the tennis world down the middle. Eala was never supposed to be here. Not at this level, not this fast. Born in Quezon City, Philippines, she grew up in a country where tennis wasn't just a minority sport. It was almost invisible. But Eala didn't just play tennis. She dominated it. By 14, she was training at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Spain, surrounded by the world's best junior players. By 17, she had won the US Open Girls Doubles title and the Australian Open Girls Singles Championship. She wasn't just good, she was inevitable. But junior success doesn't always translate to professional stardom. The WTA circuit is brutal, unforgiving, and littered with the careers of prodigies who couldn't make the jump. Eala knew this. She watched players burn out, fade into obscurity, struggle with injuries and self-doubt. Yet she kept climbing. Her first WTA main draw appearance came in 2022 at the Abierto Akron Zapopan in Mexico. She lost, but she learned. Every match was a masterclass in resilience. Every defeat, a lesson in patience. By 2024, Eala had broken into the top two. Her forehand was lethal, her mental game sharp, and her marketability off the charts. She was young, charismatic, multilingual, and represented a nation of over 110 million people who had never had a tennis star to call their own. The Philippines rallied behind her. Social media exploded with every win. Filipino fans didn't just support Eala, they worshipped her, and brands noticed. Nike, Adidas, Wilson, Rolex. They all circled. Eala's agent fielded calls weekly, sometimes daily, but she didn't rush. She didn't sign the first deal that came her way. She waited. Because Eala understood something most young athletes don't. Your first major endorsement deal doesn't just set your financial future, it defines your brand identity forever. So when the offers came, she said no. Again and again. Her team turned down six-figure deals that most players would have signed in a heartbeat. They had a plan. They were waiting for something bigger, something that would make history. But what nobody knew, not the media, not her competitors, not even most of her own sponsors, was that behind closed doors, Eala was already in talks with a brand so massive, so unexpected, that when the news finally broke, it would send shockwaves through the entire sports world. But how does a 19-year-old secure a deal worth more than some Grand Slam champions earn in a year? The answer lies in what happened next, and it's not what you'd expect. LVMH executives had been tracking her rise for over a year, analyzing her social media engagement, her demographic reach, and her potential to dominate Asian markets. They saw something rare, an athlete who could transcend tennis and become a global cultural icon. But there was a problem. LVMH had never partnered with a WTA player ranked outside the top 1. Their athletes were legends: Roger Federer, Naomi Osaka, Serena Williams. Eala was talented, yes, but unproven at the highest level. Sponsoring her was a risk. A massive, expensive risk. The initial offer reflected that hesitation. A 2-year deal worth $800,000, with performance bonuses tied to Grand Slam results. Eala's team rejected it immediately. Not because the money was bad, it was life-changing, but because they knew Eala's value wasn't just about her ranking. It was about her story, her influence, her ability to connect with millions of fans across Southeast Asia, a market that luxury brands desperately wanted to penetrate. So they counter-offered a 5-year deal worth $12 million, with guaranteed annual payments, regardless of performance. LVMH laughed. Then they negotiated. For 3 months, lawyers flew between Paris, Manila, and New York. Contracts were drafted, torn up, and rewritten. Eala's team demanded creative control over campaigns, veto power on brand partnerships, and a clause that allowed her to maintain her existing racket and apparel sponsors. LVMH pushed back on everything. But Eala didn't budge. She was 19 years old, and she was negotiating like a CEO. The breakthrough came in June. LVMH agreed to a 4-year deal worth $9.6 million, with an option for expansion. Eala would become the face of Louis Vuitton's new athletic luxury line, a collection designed to merge high fashion with performance sportswear. She'd appear in global campaigns alongside LeBron James and Zendaya. She'd have her own signature tennis bag, custom on-court accessories, and a percentage of sales revenue. It was the kind of deal that usually goes to Grand Slam champions, not teenagers still fighting for tour-level wins. But here's where it gets complicated. Part of the agreement required Eala to keep the deal confidential until LVMH's official announcement in August. No leaks, no hints, total silence. Eala agreed. She signed the contract in a private ceremony in Paris, surrounded by executives and lawyers. Champagne was poured, photos were taken, and then everyone went quiet. For 2 months, Eala played tournaments, did interviews, and posted on social media, all while sitting on the biggest secret in women's tennis. Her competitors had no idea. The media had no idea. Even some of her closest friends didn't know, until someone leaked it. A single photograph, one screenshot, and suddenly the entire tennis world was about to explode. July 20, a sports gossip account on X posted a blurry photo of a contract summary with Eala's name and the Louis Vuitton logo. The caption read, "Alex Eala, about to get paid. Multi-million-dollar LV deal dropping soon." You heard it here first. Within an hour the post had. Within 3 hours, major tennis journalists were scrambling to confirm the story. By midnight it was everywhere. Eala's team panicked. LVMH panicked. The official announcement wasn't supposed to happen for another 2 weeks, but the leak forced their hand. The next morning, Louis Vuitton released a statement. "We are thrilled to announce our partnership with Alex Eala, one of the most exciting young athletes in the world. Together, we will redefine what it means to be a champion, on and off the court." The number wasn't disclosed, but insiders confirmed it. $9.6 million over 4 years. For context, that's more than what most top 50 WTA players earn in prize money annually. It was a staggering, unprecedented deal for someone ranked 150. In the internet lost its mind. Fans celebrated. Filipino social media erupted in pride. Eala's Instagram gained 200,000 followers in 24 hours, but the backlash was immediate and brutal. Tennis purists accused her of prioritizing money over merit. Critics argued she hadn't earned a deal of that size. Some players, speaking anonymously, called it unfair and a slap in the face to athletes who've actually won something. One former top 10 player tweeted, "Endorsements should reflect achievement, not Instagram followers. This sets a dangerous precedent." Another posted, "I won 3 WTA titles before I got my first major deal. She's won 0. Make it make sense." But the harshest criticism came from an unexpected source, a prominent sports agent, who told a journalist, "Alex Eala is being set up to fail. LVMH is betting on potential, not result. If she doesn't start winning soon, this deal will haunt her career." The pressure just became unbearable. Eala stayed silent for 3 days, no interviews, no social media posts, just silent. Then, on August 2nd, she posted a single photo on Instagram, her in a custom Louis Vuitton tracksuit, holding a tennis racket, staring directly at the camera. The caption read, "They said I wasn't ready. Watch me prove them wrong." The post got 1.2 million likes. The comments were split down the middle. Half congratulated her, half said she'd regret it. But one thing was undeniable. Alex Eala had just become the most talked about player in women's tennis. And the WTA? They had no choice but to respond. But what the tour said next would change everything and force Eala to make an impossible choice. The WTA doesn't usually comment on individual player endorsements. It's not their business. Athletes are independent contractors, free to sign whatever deals they want. But the LVMH partnership was different. It wasn't just an endorsement, it was a cultural event, and the tour couldn't ignore it. On August 5th, WTA CEO Steve Simon released a carefully worded statement. "We celebrate the success of all our players, both on and off the court. Alex Eala represents the future of women's tennis, and we're proud to see her recognized by one of the world's most prestigious brands. That said, we encourage all players to remember that success in this sport is ultimately measured by performance, not partnerships." On the surface, it seemed supportive, but read between the lines and the message was clear. Eala needed to start winning. The subtext was impossible to miss. The WTA was subtly distancing itself from the hype, protecting its reputation in case Ayala's career didn't live up to the contract. But the real drama happened behind the scenes. According to sources close to the tour, several top-ranked players raised concerns during a private players' council meeting. The issue: they believed Ayala's deal would distort the endorsement market, making brands prioritize social media clout over tennis achievements. One council member allegedly said, "If a player ranked outside the top 100 can get a deal like this, what does that say about the value of actually winning tournaments?" The debate got heated. Some players defended Ayala, arguing that marketability is just as legitimate as trophies. Others felt betrayed, claiming they'd spent years grinding on tour only to be overshadowed by someone who hadn't proven herself yet. The meeting ended without resolution, but the tension was palpable. Then came the interview. Anze Duber, always diplomatic, was asked about the deal during a press conference in Toronto. She smiled and said, "Good for Alex. I hope she uses the money to hire the best coaches and trainers, because she's going to need them. The tour is ruthless." It sounded like encouragement, but the implication was sharp. Ayala was about to face a level of scrutiny and pressure that could destroy her. Jessica Pegula was more correct. When asked if endorsements should reflect rankings, she said, "I think players should get paid what they're worth, but worth is subjective, right? Some people are worth more because of where they're from, who they represent. That's just reality. It doesn't always feel fair, but it's the business we're in." But the most cutting response came from a veteran player who'd been on tour for over a decade. In an off-the-record conversation with a journalist, she said, "Ayala just painted a target on her back. Every match she plays now, opponents will want to crush her. Not because they hate her, but because beating the girl with the $10 million deal, that's a statement. She better be ready." And she was. Ayala's next tournament was in Cleveland. First round, she faced a qualifier ranked 220th in the world. The match was brutal. Ayala lost in straight sets, 6-2, 6-3. She looked tight, nervous, distracted. After the match, reporters swarmed her. One asked, "Do you feel pressure from the LVMH deal?" Ayala's response was calm, but strained. "I feel pressure every time I step on the court. That's tennis. The deal doesn't change that." But it did, and everyone knew it. The backlash was one thing, but what came next would test whether Ayala was just a brand or an actual champion. The Ayala LVMH deal wasn't just a sports story, it became a cultural flashpoint. In the Philippines, she was celebrated as a national hero. News outlets ran features on her journey. Politicians praised her as a symbol of Filipino excellence. Billboards in Manila displayed her face alongside the Louis Vuitton logo. She wasn't just a tennis player anymore, she was a movement. But that visibility came with a cost. Almost immediately, Ayala was accused of selling out. Critics argued that by partnering with a European luxury brand, she was abandoning her roots, chasing Western validation instead of uplifting Filipino brands. Local companies that had supported her early career felt slighted. One Filipino sportswear brand CEO said in an interview, "We believed in Alex when no one else did. Now she's wearing Louis Vuitton on court. It stings." The backlash intensified when Ayala appeared in her first LVMH campaign. The ad was stunning. Cinematic shots of her training in Paris, wearing custom LV athletic wear, interspersed with footage of her childhood in Manila. The tagline, "Champions are made everywhere. Legends are made here." It was gorgeous, it was aspirational, and it was controversial. Filipino activists criticized the campaign for erasing Ayala's working-class background. They pointed out that Louis Vuitton bags cost more than the average monthly salary in the Philippines, making the partnership feel tone-deaf. One viral tweet read, "Alex Ayala represents a country where millions live in poverty, and she's selling $3,000 handbags. How is that empowering?" Ayala addressed the criticism in a rare long-form Instagram post. She wrote, "I'm proud of where I come from. I'll never forget the sacrifices my family made to get me here. But I also refuse to apologize for succeeding. This deal gives me the resources to train at the highest level, to compete with the best, and to inspire the next generation of Filipino athletes. If that makes me a sellout, so be it." The post was met with mixed reactions. Supporters praised her honesty, detractors called it defensive. But one thing was undeniable. Ayala had become a polarizing figure, and polarizing figures drive conversation. LVMH couldn't have been happier. Every headline, every debate, every controversy only increased brand visibility. Ayala's Instagram engagement skyrocketed. Her name was trending weekly. Love her or hate her, people couldn't stop talking about her. But the cultural debate went deep. Asian tennis fans saw Ayala's deal as a victory for representation. For years, Asian players had been overlooked by major brands, despite their marketability and fan bases. Naomi Osaka had broken through, but she was an exception. Ayala's LVMH partnership signaled a shift, proof that brands were finally recognizing the value of Asian athletes. Yet some Asian players felt conflicted. One Chinese WTA player, speaking anonymously, said, "I'm happy for Alex, but I also wonder, would she have gotten this deal if she looked different, if she didn't speak perfect English, if she wasn't as media-friendly?" It's complicated. The uncomfortable truth was that Ayala's success wasn't just about talent, it was about timing, presentation, and the right kind of marketability. She was beautiful, articulate, and culturally ambiguous enough to appeal to both Asian and Western audiences. That's not a criticism of Ayala. It's an acknowledgement of how the endorsement industry works, and it raised questions that no one wanted to answer. Meanwhile, Ayala kept playing. She lost in the first round of the US Open, then the second round in Tokyo. Her ranking dropped to 16. The whispers grew louder. She's distracted. The deal was a mistake. She's not focused on tennis anymore. But Ayala didn't respond. She didn't post. She didn't defend herself. She just kept working. And then, in a tournament nobody expected, she did something that silenced every single critic. October 2024, the Guangzhou Open, a WTA 250 event in southern China. Low stakes, minimal media coverage. Ayala entered as an unseeded player with a 4-12 record since signing her LVMH deal. No one expected anything, but something had shifted. First round, Ayala defeated a former top 30 player in 3 sets. Second round, she dismantled a rising Chinese star. Quarterfinals, she upset the 6th seed in a tiebreak thriller. Suddenly, people were paying attention. Journalists who'd written her off weeks earlier scrambled to cover her run. Social media buzzed. And Ayala? She stayed focused. Semifinals. Down 2-5 in the third set, facing match point, Ayala hit a forehand winner down the line that drew gasps from the crowd. She won 5 straight games to close out the match. In her post-match interview, she was asked how she turned it around. Her answer: "I stopped caring what people thought. I remembered why I started playing tennis in the first place. Not for the deals, not for the fame, because I love this game." The final was against a top 50 player who'd never lost to someone outside the top 100. Ayala won 7-6, 6-4, her first WTA title. The moment the final point landed, she collapsed on the court, sobbing, not from joy, from relief. Relief that she wasn't a fraud, that she belonged, that the deal, the pressure, the criticism, it was all worth it. LVMH released a statement within an hour. "Champions deliver when it matters most. Congratulations, Alex." The post got 3 million impressions. Ayala's Instagram exploded. Her ranking jumped to 1, and just like that, the narrative flipped. But here's what most people don't realize. Ayala's story isn't over. It's just beginning. That Guangzhou title didn't erase the controversy. It didn't validate the $9.6 million. One WTA 250 title is incredible, but it's not a grand slam. It's not sustained success. The real test is what happens next. Can Ayala break into the top 50? Can she compete at major? Can she handle the pressure of being not just a tennis player, but a brand ambassador, a cultural icon, and a symbol for an entire nation? The LVMH deal gave her financial security, global visibility, and a platform most athletes never get. But it also gave her expectations that could crush her if she's not careful. The WTA is watching, brands are watching, and the next generation of players is watching, wondering if they should chase endorsements or trophies first. Ayala has become a case study, proof that marketability can create opportunities, but also a warning that opportunities without results can backfire. Some players admire her, others resent her, but Berin respects what she's pulled off. Because at the end of the day, Alex Ayala didn't just sign a deal. She started a conversation about value, worth, and what it means to be a champion in the modern era of sports. So here's the question. Was this deal a breakthrough or a burden? A smart business move or a dangerous gamble? And more importantly, will Alex Ayala prove that she's more than just a marketing masterpiece? Alex Ayala's journey is far from over. She's shown resilience, courage, and the ability to perform under crushing pressure. But the real story isn't just about her. It's about the future of women's tennis, the power of representation, and the changing landscape of athlete endorsements. Whether you believe she earned the LVMH deal or not, one thing is undeniable: she's changed the game. If you want to see how this story unfolds, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because the next chapter, it's gonna be even bigger. Drop a comment below. Do you think Alex Ayala deserves this deal, or is the pressure too much? Let's talk.